Welcome to our Fall 2015 Commissioning Ceremony. My name is Cadet Ashley Hayes, your Master of Ceremonies. On behalf of the Military Science Department Chair, Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Howey, and the entire ROTC program, I would like to welcome our cadets, cadre, staff, parents, families, and special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation.
Hello, and if you all will bow your heads with me, we'll pray. God, I first come to you to thank you for who you are, that you're loving and kind, and that you sent your Son to die for us. As we commission these soon-to-be lieutenants, I pray that you would guide them as you are the ultimate leader. I pray that you be with them as they influence the Army and the lives of their men. Give them courage when things are hard, strength when they are weak, and wisdom when they're unsure. Finally, thank you, God, for those who served before them as they begin their service, that you'll never leave them. In your name I pray. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce our Military Science Department Chair, Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Howey.
Morning, everyone. It's great to be here on this beautiful December morning to celebrate the accomplishments of these two cadets who have successfully completed all requirements towards becoming Army officers. I'd especially like to welcome our distinguished guests, Mr. Bill Darden from Congressman Rowe's office, Dr. Jane Jones from representing Dr. Nolan's office, Dr. Dennis Depew, Dean of the College of Business, Brigadier General retired Stallcup, and we have three former professors of military science here today. We have Lieutenant Colonel Jeffress, we have Lieutenant Colonel Bishop, and sorry back there. Is that Meisner? Lieutenant Colonel Meisner. Hi, Colonel Meisner. Sorry about that. He kind of snuck in the last minute. And I'd also like to welcome the families of the commissionees that are here today. Today I'm especially pleased that these two cadets that are commissioning into my basic branch, the Quartermaster Corps. As soon-to-be lieutenants, as you depart ETSU, you're entering into a complex world, and your generation of officers is going to shoulder the burden of keeping America and her allies safe. The Army I was commissioned into had just seen the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the stunning defeat of the Iraqi army in the Persian Gulf War. However, it didn't take long for those that oppose our way of life to figure out a different way to fight us. They can't defeat us on a traditional battlefield, which has resulted in the asymmetric warfare of the last 14 years. Jacob and Johathan, I commend you on your commitment to take on this tremendous responsibility of keeping America safe and her way of life intact. So few are willing or able to do this. In the Army, as well in life, you're going to encounter challenges that you've not seen before. But remember to fall back on your training and use your creativity and best judgment, for this is what you get paid for as leaders. Always remember the lessons you've learned at ETSU and represent this institution well in all you do in life. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Colonel Retired Mike Johnson. Colonel Mike Johnson is a 1976 graduate of Science Hill High School. He's also a graduate of East Tennessee State with a degree in business administration, where he earned a distinguished military graduate honors and his regular Army commission as a second lieutenant. He's a distinguished graduate of Webster University, where he earned a master's degree in business management, and he's also a graduate of the United States Army War College. Colonel Johnson initially served in the United States Army Reserve, where he was selected as a distinguished graduate of the USAR Drill Sergeant School. Upon commissioning as a second lieutenant in 1983, he commanded at all levels, from platoon, company, battalion, and brigade. He also served as the military representative on multiple United States government negotiation teams focused on all United States policy towards North Korea, which included nuclear non-proliferation, ceasefire issues, and return of our fallen. He's a combat veteran from the Afghanistan Theater of Operations, where he closed out his active duty career serving as the Chief of Staff for all United States forces serving in southern Afghanistan. Colonel Johnson's awards include the Legion of Merit and the Bronze Star. His authorized badges include the Afghanistan Combat Service Badge, Joint Chiefs of Staff Identification Badge, and the Drill Sergeant's Identification Badge. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Colonel Johnson to the stage.
Well, good morning, Dr. Depew, Dr. Jones, Brigadier General Stalcup, Lieutenant Colonel Bishop, Lieutenant Colonel Meisler, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers, retired, all those, wonderful, thank you very much for being here. I would also like the opportunity to acknowledge that Colonel Retired Gary McAllister is here as well. Good morning to all of you all, and thank you for being here this morning for this very important event. And thanks, Colonel Howie. You hear some of that and it's like, it's really not me, but I am pleased to be here, and thank you for the introduction. Would also like to thank the cadre and the cadets here at this great Buccaneer Battalion for hosting this event and taking the time to ensure that the men and women of the United States Armed Forces and these new lieutenants are honored by a quality ceremony. As an ETSU alumni and commissioning product here of this great program, it's a distinct privilege to be chosen to speak here to you, to honor these officers with a few words of maybe wisdom that they might want to keep, that I hope so. For the past 240 years, the men and women of America have answered the Armed Forces call. And these two gentlemen are going to serve us well. I have no doubt that both soldiers past and present will be honored and well served by their efforts. I promise to keep my remarks brief for two reasons. First, having sat in your position before, I know you have a lot on your mind. The thoughts of your first assignment racing through your head, the miles you're about to put behind you before you get to your first duty station, how you're going to handle dealing with that first platoon sergeant, all are very important. And I know that's in your mind. And because of those distractions, secondly, I want my comments to be brief because I'd like you to try to remember them for a very long time. First, it is important to acknowledge that this ceremony is steeped in tradition back to the revered days of George Washington and the great sacrifices made by so many over the years, starting out at places like Valley Forge. And being an officer in our great Army carries with it the burden of our forefathers to further strengthen the Constitution that has been put in place, a Constitution found like no other ever on the face of this planet. That you would be ones that would protect and serve it to the highest degree of competency and professionalism. One's word is one's bond, and the oath that you are about to take is steeped in that tradition. But it also reflects the enormous weight of the tasks that lay ahead for you. I also believe it is very important to take a few moments to thank the parents and the guardians that shaped the lives of these officers that we honor today. Not a thanks for your child having chosen this great profession, but for having molded these young men into Americans of such character and value. They are indeed a reflection in many ways of your rearing. And so for having produced such a great quality set of citizens, they are indeed worthy of a hearty thanks, you, the parents and guardians. So will everyone please join me in a round of applause for these parents and guardians. Now, Uncle Sam took these two gentlemen of character that you provided and passed them along to the wonderful cadre here at East Tennessee State University's ROTC department. They built upon your foundation with superior leadership, enormous time, great competence, and significant sacrifice and effort on their part. They have indeed done their duty to its fullest. They developed these two civilians into military officers. They are now leaders who are out in front of others shouting with their actions those immortal words of follow me, follow me. Because you cannot lead from behind, you simply must lead from the front by your example. It takes instructors of character in themselves to shape others into something special, like these two men that are before us with such great promise. And it is without question that officers and non-commissioned officers in this highly productive ROTC department have indeed done their best. They know better than anyone else the enormous burden of responsibility and the great sacrifices that are required in stress and danger, and they know how to prepare them for those facets of military life. And they knew exactly what these two lieutenants needed as cadets. The cadre tirelessly trained these young officers to ensure that they would be ready to answer the nation's call to duty, regardless of the physical environment or the mental stressors. You have prepared them well, and I am indeed proud of you for the quality that you have produced. So would you again join me in a round of applause for our outstanding cadre and staff here at ETSU's ROTC department. There are two remaining groups of people that are most important. These new lieutenants and one associated fiancé. Though our purpose here today is to honor their new lieutenants and promote them, commission them, I will save special comments for our future military spouse to the end. Let me take a moment to tell you about these two great Americans that we will commission as second lieutenants. Jacob McGhee is being commissioned in the United States Army Reserve into the Quartermaster Corps. His first assignment will be the 861st Quartermaster Company in Nashville, Tennessee. He is a 4-year National Scholarship winner who majored in exercise science. After completing the Leader Development and Assessment course in the summer of 2014, Cadet McGhee served in the Battalion S4 section in the Buck Battalion for the school year 2014 and 2015. And Johathan Shackelford. He is being commissioned into the active Army and is also an officer in the Quartermaster Corps. After completing his Quartermaster Basic Officer Leadership course, his first assignment will be at Fort Carson, Colorado. Colonel Shackelford served in a simultaneous membership program here at the ROTC department for the last 3.5 years, serving in a reserve unit 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, while also simultaneously being a cadet. He was the driving force behind the Pershing Rifles Battery here being started at ETSU. And in its first year competing in the Pershing Rifles National Convention, the team was awarded first and second place finishes. A remarkable achievement considering that all the other schools have been competing at the National Convention for years. After completing his Leader Development Assessment course last summer, Cadet Shackelford served as the Buccaneer Battalion Executive Officer for the school year 2014-2015. Now directly to you two new Quartermaster Lieutenants. I have 4 points to make. First involves 2 quotes that deal with quartermaster. Quotes that I hope you will remember and everyone else here will also remember. The first, by Lieutenant General E.T. Cook, United States Marine Corps. Clearly, logistics is the hard part of fighting a war. It is the hard part of fighting a war. The second quote, General Douglas MacArthur, on the eve of his landing at Incheon. The history of war proves that 9 out of 10 times an army has been destroyed because its supply lines have been cut off. We shall land at Incheon and I shall crush them. Quartermaster, logistics, it's the hard part of fighting a war. Second major point I would like to address to you. Your position as a leader just absolutely demands that the Army values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage, they must be more than just mere words. These values simply must be embodied in all that you say, do, and think. And you must be fully committed to our warrior ethos. You must always place the mission first, never quit, never accept defeat, and never leave a fallen comrade. Our Army values and our warrior ethos can never be compromised, period. There are no excuses. Our country and your soldiers deserve nothing less. Third, when you get to your first unit, and even before you arrive, if possible, I want you to memorize your battalion's unit standard operating procedure. Not merely read the SOP for familiarity so that you know where to find things. I mean, no kidding, really memorize it, every word on every page. This will indeed set you well apart and above your peers. But far more importantly, it will serve your subordinates well, because you will be able to react faster in a more correct manner. This will not only go a long way towards mission accomplishment, this immediate recall of information will help protect life, limb, and eyesight of our national treasure, those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that will be in your charge. I also want you to practice your land navigation skills, get a map of your training area, get permission to go out and tour the area. Keep in mind that your soldiers will fully expect you to arrive physically fit, an expert at map reading, and fully versed regarding the unit SOP. In these areas, your soldiers will demand competency upon your arrival. They will be most unforgiving if you arrive weak in any of those 3. They'll cut you a break initially in many areas. But regarding fitness, land nav, and the unit SOP, immediate competency is required. And lastly, don't ever forget that the plans you make must be executed by real people, soldiers, your soldiers. They can accomplish a great deal, but they are humans. They get tired and hungry. They need bullets and fuel. Never forget that it is your soldiers to execute the plans that you make. That may sound sort of like a flash of the blinding obvious, but far too often our soldiers are placed at great risk because their leaders fail to remember that their soldiers are real people, not just icons on a computer screen or the voice at the other end of a radio transmission. And finally, to you new lieutenants, and on this one I will include your future military spouse, I ask that you keep one thing in mind. This is an exciting journey upon which you are about to depart. It is not a destination. So enjoy the trip. You will find great joy with the many friends that you will make. You will make them quickly and you will cherish them always. Even after you move to a new assignment, you will always travel to new places and experience many new cultures. All this and much more you will treasure, so keep a good scrapbook with lots of pictures. And when your time wearing the uniform is past, it will not be your awards, your decorations, the uniform, your officer evaluation reports that you will remember. No, it'll be the camaraderie of the shared struggles with your fellow soldiers and family members that you will treasure forever. And that scrapbook you keep will help keep those memories alive. So right now, just trust me, keep a good scrapbook and you'll be glad you did when you hang up your spurs of uniform service. You will also find that your challenges will be great as well. Every few years, moving your home, getting your children and family resettled, rediscovering how to fulfill your life's work in a new location, all these challenges and many more will be part of your journey. And yes, you will worry about your spouse, but rest assured he is well trained. I've been married to my lovely bride since 1978. We both enjoyed the fullness of Army life. and we would not train a moment. And we continue to enjoy the Army's journey and are confident that you will enjoy yours as well. So as a hearty send-off to our new lieutenants and our future military spouse, would everyone please rise and give them a hearty round of applause. Thank you. Take your seats, please. In closing, the great patriot Thomas Paine once urged soldiers to continue the fight for freedom by writing his own moving call to duty. Thomas Paine stated, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from his duty. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman." May God bless you who came here today to share in this tribute. May God bless our nation's veterans all around the world, and may God continue to bless the United States of America, where, because of our soldiers today and veterans of yesterday, is still land of the free and home of the brave. Thank you.
Colonel Johnson, on behalf of the Military Science Department and East Tennessee State University, I'd like to present you this remembrance of your time spent with us today, and thank you for all you do for us. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to present the ETSU Army ROTC cadets who will be commissioned today as second lieutenants in the United States Army. The commissionees are Cadet Jacob McGhee, and Cadet Johathan Shackelford. Lieutenant Colonel Howie will now administer the oath of office.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. I, Jacob McGhee.
I, Johathan Shackelford,
Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States,
an officer in the Army of the United States,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office upon which
of the office upon which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All military personnel, please rise. Attention to orders. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Jacob McGhee and Johathan Shackelford, and hereby appoints them to the grade of Second Lieutenant in the United States Army, to rank as such from the 11th day of December 2015. These officers will therefore carefully and diligently discharge the duties of the office in which they have been appointed to, by doing and performing all manner of things thereunto belonging. And I do strictly charge and require those officers and other personnel of lesser rank to render the such obedience as is due an officer of this grade and position. These officers are to observe and follow such orders and directions from time to time as may be given by the President of the United States of America, or other superior officers acting in accordance with the laws of the United States of America. This commission is to continue in force during the pleasure of the President of the United States of America under provisions of those public laws relating to officers of the armed forces of the United States of America, and the component thereof in which this appointment is made. Signed, the Honorable Eric Fanning, Acting Secretary of the Army. Please be seated. Second Lieutenant McGhee will be pinned by his parents Brian and Karen and his sister Rachel McGhee. Jacob Connor McGhee served as the Battalion S2 and held the rank of Cadet First Lieutenant. The son of Brian and Karen McGhee of Soddy Daisy, Tennessee, Jacob has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Exercise Science and Physical Education and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Quartermaster Corps. Upon completion of the Quartermaster Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant McGhee's career goals include service in the U.S. Army as a platoon leader and member of the battalion staff in the U.S. Army Reserves as he pursues his education to become a certified occupational therapist. Lieutenant McGhee would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Jacob McGhee. Second Lieutenant Shackelford will be pinned by his fiancée, Michelle Crane, and his mother, Cindy Shackelford. Johathan Shackelford served as the company commander, Battalion S5, and Battalion Executive Officer and held the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Steve Shackelford and Cindy Shackelford of Johnson City, Tennessee, John has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Industrial Engineering and Technology and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Quartermaster Corps. Upon completion of the Quartermaster Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Shackelford will be assigned to the 2nd Brigade, 4th Infantry Division in Fort Carson, Colorado. Lieutenant Shackelford's career goals include service in the U.S. Army as a platoon leader and company commander. Lieutenant Shackelford hopes to start his own construction company after service in the Army. He will be married in January 2016 to the lovely Michelle Crane of Signal Mountain, Tennessee. Lieutenant Shackelford would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goals of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Johathan Shackelford. It is a time-honored tradition that each newly commissioned lieutenant proudly presents a silver dollar to the first enlisted soldier who salutes them. The salute is a symbol of respect due to the newly earned rank. The silver dollar represents the significant contribution that the recipient has made towards the new lieutenant achieving this milestone. Lieutenant McGhee will receive his first salute from his grandfather, Staff Sergeant William McGhee. Lieutenant Shackelford will receive his first salute from Specialist Adam Perry. On behalf of the Military Officers Association of America, Army Chief Warrant Officer Retired Jim DuBose will present each new lieutenant with 1-year membership to MOA and second lieutenant rank bars. Standing by our soldiers is not always an easy task. It requires steadfast vision, commitment, and sacrifice. Earning a commission through the ROTC program is a long and challenging process. These new lieutenants would not be here if it were not for your support and care. As they close one chapter in their ETSU ROTC careers and begin new ones as Army officers, we want to give them a chance to formally say thank you and to say thank you from our battalion for all that you've done on their behalf. Would the following people please join Lieutenant McGhee up front to be recognized? Brian, Karen, Bill, and Gwen Ann McGhee, and Matthew Brown. Would the following people please join Lieutenant Shackelford up front to be recognized? Cindy Shackelford, Michelle Darrington and Doug Crane, Alex Dayton and Alex Boggs.
For those of you that know me, I'm a little unorthodox. All my classmates that are here today, come up here. All of them. Let's go. Yeah.
Please join us for one more round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song. The words are printed in your program. Our cadets and new lieutenants will sing along. We encourage you to do the same. On behalf of the Military Science Department, I would like to bid farewell to our new lieutenants and wish them well in their future endeavors. This concludes our commissioning ceremony. At this time, you are welcome to take additional photos and join us for refreshments. Again, thank you for attending, and please join us in congratulating our new officers.